There you go.
All right, well, my name is Stephen Kremski, K-R-E, M as in Mary, S-K-I. I reside at 627 North Ball, as in Lucille Street, in Owasso, Michigan. I've been doing my mom's family tree since August 29, 1977. Well, let's just say I've got a whole hell of a lot of files to show everybody. Once I can get things computerized and put down, it'll be a lot easier. It won't be such a mess. I've started here on one section on my great-grandma Redding. She is the mother of Charles Homer Redding, Mary Elizabeth Armstrong. She died at the age of 88 in 1950, and she was born 2 months exactly before the Emancipation Proclamation. She was born July 22nd, 1862 in Athensville, Illinois. That is in Greene County. The post office there was removed between 1952 and 55. The mail today is handled out of Root House, Illinois, also in Greene County, zip code 62082, and their PSC, which is short for Postal Sectional Center, is out of St. Louis, Missouri. Her grandfather, John Armstrong, was the postmaster for several years at Athensville, Illinois, up until his death in 1859. He was from England. He was born there in 1794, died, I think, in August of 1859. When he died, he had a 5-year-old son, and this geezer is 65, and he had a 21-year-old son named Thomas H. Armstrong. Thomas H. Armstrong was 21 at the time. He married Harriet Cordelia Morrow, December 22nd, 1859 in Greene County, and then, of course, our great-grandmother was born July 22nd, 1862. She had a brother named Charles Edward Armstrong. He was born September 30th, 1860, died July 7th, 1935 in Greene County, Illinois. My great-grandma Redding's other siblings, she had a sister named Harriet who married R.B. Scott. She died in childbirth. She had one sister, Jenny, who remained a spinster and died in the 1918 flu. Jenny was a school teacher, and in those days out in the country schools, the children would share water from a dipper. Well, one of these kids had the flu, and not only spread it around to the other kids, they spread it around to her, and she was about 50 when she died in 1918. But then back then, they didn't have running water, they didn't have bathrooms. What was there for sanitation? Yeah, life was really wonderful, wasn't it? Now, they had a baby brother by the name of Little John, and the kids used to play with him. I was told by a distant cousin, Little John, some little song like that. Well, I believe it was our great-grandma who went to the crib, and this is back in the 1860s or 1870s, and she went to get him and pick him up to check on him, and he was still. He was just...
Was it morning? You don't know.
I don't know what time of the day it was, or what it was, but the baby was, he was just still. He was dead. Our great-grandma Redding also had another sister by the name of Ida Stella. She was born March 4th, 1870, or actually March 4th, 1872, but when I got her marriage license, she was actually born in 1870 in Athensville, Illinois. She married Lucian Rule, R-U-Y-L-E, in October of 1897. Well, her husband, Lucian Rule, got a land draw on some Indian territory down in Oklahoma, 160 acres. This was in February of 1901. So Ida Stella Armstrong Rule and her husband Lucian Rule went to Cotton County, Oklahoma, to a town called Walters. Walters is the county seat of Cotton County, which is south of Lawton, Oklahoma, but north of Wichita Falls, Texas. Cotton County is also right there on the Texas state line. Well, I've got a file here. God, I'm trying to find it. Got so much of it. All right, as I was talking about Ida Stella Armstrong Rule, when I was living in Denver, Colorado, I went to the main public library downtown at 1357 Broadway. Well, I came across a book, The History of Cotton County, Oklahoma. lo and behold, I came across the family of Lucian Rule. Now, they had 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. One of them right here, I'm trying to look, Harold, Walter, Kenneth, and Mary. Walter here would be Grandpa Redding's first cousin, resembles your dad.
He
You
does.
should see it.
Who
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
All right, Walter
Edward
Rule.
Redding.
Yeah. Walter Rule is a first cousin to our Grandpa Charles Homer Redding. And when I look at Grandpa Redding's first cousin, I see your dad right here because the way of the facial features.
And
all
his
the
name
looks.
is Edward Homer Redding, right?
No. Your grandfather was Charles Homer Redding.
Right.
But or I'm sorry, your dad was
Your
Edward
dad
Homer Redding.
Okay.
was Edward Homer, yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Homer Redding,
just
and then
wanted to
back
think
on
that.
down to Walter Rule.
You can see him real resemblance.
I want to see it.
Walter Rule was living in Pasadena, Texas. When he died in 1998, he was 100 years old. But you should see that. You should just see the resemblances there.
Cute. He's a looker.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and see that.
As a child.
Now,
How do you like those mustaches they used to wear?
Yeah.
Jonathan Mary.
Wonder what the use of that kind of mustache was for.
Yeah.
now,
The handlebars.
Maybe
We got
they
the
used them
camera
for
on. I
handlebars.
don't want to say nothing dirty.
mostly,
Yeah.
okay, going back here to the Rule family, this was written by Mary Elizabeth Rule Johnson back in 1979. This was published.
Oh.
Now, she died in April of 2005. She was 95 years old. Grandpa Redding's baby cousin. And she knew some information, not much, but she had told me what she remembers about coming from Walters, Oklahoma, to go up to the house at 2135 Kimball Avenue in North Chicago. This would be back like during the teens, 20s, and 30s. Now, Mary Elizabeth Rule Johnson was named for our great-grandmother, Mary Elizabeth Armstrong Redding. Okay. Trying to take a look here. Because I've got so much. Lucian Rule would be our Grandpa Redding's uncle, Charles Homer's uncle. He ran a dairy and sold feed grains. And it says the dairy stayed in business until 1948. But during World War II, in that part of Oklahoma, this started in February of 1942. United States government, World War, we'd just been hit by Pearl Harbor a few months before, was wanting to drill for oil down in that area. It was, and I guess people just down in that area, they made money overnight. Kind of like the 1955 MGM movie Giant, starring Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor, and James Dean. So,
I'll have to see that movie.
yeah, but a lot of people overnight, they became millionaires down there. All from that oil drilling. Just, it's like crazy, crazy. Let me see now. Lucian Rule died at Walters, Oklahoma, February 2nd, 1957. Ida Stella Armstrong Rule also died at Walters, October the 11th, 1958. They only had 2 grandchildren. One, there was, let me see, trying to think here. All right, Walter had a daughter named Lavetta June Rule Lott. She resides in Houston, Texas. Kenneth had a daughter named Caroline Rule McPhail, who I believe is deceased now. She resided in Costa Mesa, California. But then again, when I look at our great-grandparents, there were only 8 Redding grandchildren. Okay, for example, from Carl String Redding and Dorothy Rebecca Jackson, there was Eugene Redding, and then with Earl Edward Skank and Bernice Marie Redding, she went by Marie. They had a daughter by the name of Dolores Marietta. Then Howard Abner Redding had a son and a daughter, Harriet and Harold. And then our grandfather, okay, there was Earl Clayton Edward, Florence Elizabeth, Marjorie Mary, Edward Homer, and Jean Ellen.
Who was the horsewoman, the Armstrong horsewoman?
Well, that was our great-grandmother, Mary Elizabeth Armstrong Redding. Now, she married Enoch Carroll Redding at the United Methodist Church in Root House, Illinois, December 23rd, 1886. And I believe one of her uncles founded that church. Her family was very, very prominent in that area. Well, they were the early settlers. Enoch was born near Jacksonville, August 16th, 1860. He died in North Chicago, Illinois, January 2nd, 1941. She died at the nursing home in Zion, Illinois. Remember that? That big old nursing home? I think they tore that down about, what, between 1978 and 1980.
What year did she die?
She died August 13th, 1950. And I was born 14 years later on the same day.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit, Batman, you know. Well, let me tell you the story here about that.
What was the date that Grandma Redding died?
Our grandmother?
Yeah.
She died in Waukegan, December the 6th, 1962.
Same December the 6th is when my dad
Exactly
died.
25 years to your death.
To the day.
What's the what?
The 7th, wasn't it?
Nope, it was the 6th. I saw his death certificate.
Now, I wanted to get out here the death certificate of Mary Elizabeth Armstrong Redding. I should have it here somewhere. I got this when it was certified October 3rd, 1977. I was 13 years old at the time. Well, I went to look for her date of death. I saw August 13th. I was like, it was so bizarre. What time did it say she died? It said she died at 3:30 p.m. and I was born at 2:58 p.m. 14 years later on the same day. Now, when I was a little kid, everybody'd say to me, "Oh, what do you say you're interested in that old bullshit for? Da da da, all this history." Well, oh yes. And I said, you know, there's something here. There's something here that's going on that more than meets the eye. People were telling me, you know, oh, why do you want to find all that? I says, there's something here that's going on. And sure enough, when I learned how to research all this stuff, people began to take me seriously.
Yeah.
They thought, oh, you're just some stupid damn kid, what do you know? Well, come to find out, I just backfired and went everywhere.
You blew them away.
I blew them away.
Oh, sorry.
But she,
Jane Rudolph.
I'd ask my mom and your dad, I'd ask anybody for any kind of information they could find. And no, people knew little if any.
I know. That's
They
sad.
said,
When they came to me,
where is,
You kind of feel like an orphan.
well, yeah, you do,
Where did
because you
it
want to
go?
find out who you are, where you come
they
from.
baked the bricks and they built that house.
So everything is,
Imagine that. That's beautiful.
you know, sooner or later something does
Still there.
surface. Okay, did you ever watch Unsolved Mysteries? You watch Unsolved Mysteries, don't you?
Yeah. There's also a show called Who Do You Think You Are?
Yes.
That's,
I saw the one with Rosie O'Donnell and Lionel Richie.
oh yeah.
And they talked about how difficult it is to do searches. And I said, I know what they're going through because I've worked in the trenches. I mean,
It's
finding-
harder to find things now because you have to have so much identity.
well, at present day. But if you're looking for something like, say, a death certificate from like 25 years ago or 30 years ago, you know, they'll give you the information, but it takes time because, you know, there's been short, you know, government offices are short-staffed.
There's a
Libraries,
uncle at
cemeteries,
Grandma's.
churches, everything.
And that
Okay.
his farm was in a book down at the state library.
Yeah, in Lansing. But
They had pictures of it.
But going back,
Thomas Gilder.
you want to see that?
Oh, sorry.
He
I
was-
didn't want to take...
Okay, he was, because I don't want to be jumping around, Mom. I want to be able to stick to the subject.
Yeah.
Thomas Gilder, actually, I'm trying to think here. He he fought alongside Abraham Lincoln during the Black Hawk War of 1832.
They're related to us?
The Lincolns, no. Our family knew them.
Yeah, knew them. Wow.
Knew Abraham Lincoln.
Interesting.
But going back,
You knew it?
papers today, if you need something desperately, they'll expedite it out for you. But now, if you're going way back, they'll say, well, 4 to 6 weeks to wait for this or 4 to 8 weeks to wait for that. See, when I started out, you could get stuff quicker. But today, genealogy is the top hobby in the country. So everybody's asking for everything. It's just put in a drain. Now, I'm going to go to the side of Enoch Carroll Redding. Let me see. I know that his father, James Carroll Redding, was born in Jacksonville, Illinois, about 1833. Died at the Old Soldiers and Sailors Home in Quincy, Illinois, in 1894. He was 61. I believe he.
Is that all he was?
Yes, and I believe it was from a hemorrhoid operation.
Wow.
Yeah, people back then. Today it's we've got preparation H, but back then, hemorrhoid operation was considered life.
Whoa.
I mean,
I hope it's not inheritance. I hope we don't inherit it.
But I believe that's what killed him.
So did he bleed to death or what?
He just probably bled to death. And then back then, what was medical technology and what was sanitation?
What was the year?
1894.
Okay.
Oh, that was after the Leach era then, huh?
Leach era.
Leach.
Oh, Leach. Oh yeah, that was after the Leach
And
era.
when they bled people.
That's what they did to George Washington.
Oh.
That's what they did to Stalin, too.
They even in 1953.
Too bad they didn't kill
What,
him.
the leeches?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
with leeches.
I remember
You know,
that.
Demi Moore still has that done.
Really?
She likes the Leach treatment.
Ew.
Yeehaw.
Oh, it
Oh,
was.
I know.
But what gets me is you hear all these conservative people in the Christian right talking about, how wholesome life was and good everything was back then, which was a royal overflowing crock of shit.
You can't
I'm sorry, Mother, but I'm here to make a Film Waste presentation,
It's not the...
It's not the Donna Reed Show. It's not the Brady Bunch. It's not Make Room for Daddy. It's not Ozzie and Harriet. Okay, Ozzie and Harriet, Make Room for Daddy. The
Leave
Donna
it to
Reed Show.
Beaver.
Thank you.
We can edit
everything
that
was just
stuff.
so wonderful back then.
You can edit that stuff anyhow.
But
I'm not
it's
going to edit nothing.
No?
oh, but okay. For example, back then it was common to be married more than once. Now, yes, some records were kept, but statistics were published. Today, not only records are kept, statistics about how many marriages will end, or who dies from who, from where, what race, ethnic, religious background it affects, how many children are born, people, all kinds of illnesses, those are kept now. Back then, it wasn't. Okay, for example, Betsy Ross, who sewed the American flag, she was born in 1752 and died in 1836 at the age of 84. She had 4 husbands. All right, back. Okay.
She made the American flag.
All right, back in 1975, when I was in the 4th grade, my teacher said to me, well, let's talk about some people from the American Revolution. Her name was Mrs. Curtis, Margaret Curtis, or Margaret Hall Curtis. And so I raised my hand. She says, okay, Steve, who do you want to talk about from the American Revolution? I said, well, there's Betsy Ross, so the American flag. Well, what do you know about her? I said, I know that she had 4 husbands, and the teacher was ready to have a shit fit. She says, can you prove this? Can you prove this? Can you prove this? I said, yes, Mrs. Curtis. I got up, went over to where the encyclopedias were, opened it up to the page, and showed it to her. Betsy Ross, okay, with her first 3 husbands, she had about a total of 12 kids.
Wow.
But which kids they came from, if it was husband number 1, number 2, number 3, I don't know. Well, she outlived those 3, and then she outlived her 4th husband. So,
She was a firecracker.
You think Diana Ross was related to her?
well, they claim that Washington had an illegitimate son.
I know a lot of black people with the last name of Washington.
They all messed around back then.
Getting back to your family lineage, though, where were we?
Let's keep it clean.
Okay. I was...
Were we at Sangamon County? Or
no,
we
not at Sangamon
moving
County.
our way into North Chicago yet?
No, we've got, there's going to be a while before we get up to that one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Enoch Carroll Redding, going back to him, he was the eldest child. He was the firstborn to James Carroll Redding, the one who died from the hemorrhoid operation, and Amanda Elizabeth Gilmore. Now, James' parents, I know his father was John Redding, and his mother was Harriet Jewett. J-O-U-E-T-T. Now, I was reading about a Captain Jewett who sailed around Baltimore, Maryland. So I'm wondering, could we be related to him? I don't know, because...
Maybe you'll find out someday.
Yeah, I can find out. I'll find out someday. Because I don't find Jewett as a common name. Now, Redding you do, and Gilmore you do. Now, Amanda Elizabeth Gilmore...
Related to the Gilmore girls?
Yeah. Could be, you never know.
Gotta stay on topic here.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Now, Amanda Elizabeth Gilmore and James Carroll Redding were married in Athensville, Illinois. That's in Greene County, November 10th, 1859. And I've got their marriage license up there somewhere. But there's a permission slip that her mother wrote for her, stating, my daughter Amanda Elizabeth Redding has attained the age of 18 years to marry the said Mr. James Carroll Redding. My mark and my signature, Mrs. Caroline Gilmore. Yeah. There was a permission slip for her to marry. Well, Amanda's father was Henry Gilmore. He was born in 1784 in North Carolina. Died in Greene County, Illinois, July 24th, 1846. He was 62. Now,
Get me one of those.
Henry was 57 when Amanda was born. Oh, yeah. Like they didn't do that back then.
Yeah.
And she
Gotta keep warm.
She was born May 21st, 1841 in Jacksonville, Illinois. Died in Springfield, Illinois, November 12th, 1917. The year after she was born, she had a brother by the name of Carroll in 1842 when her dad was 58. And then 4 years later, Henry Gilmore dies. Yeah. Well, from what I heard, Amanda Elizabeth Gilmore Redding was a bitch. Nobody liked her. That's what I heard. Nobody could stand her. She was mean. She was nasty. Oh, I'd have my go-arounds with her. I'd have fun making her life miserable. Anyway, now, going back...
Her husband stayed in the Army for 4 years.
Yeah, couldn't stand her. Couldn't stand her.
On vacation.
Oh. Well, I guess fighting at the Battle of Vicksburg would be fun and coming home looking at her. I mean, Amanda Elizabeth Gilmore. God, nobody liked her.
You're harsh.
She was mean. She was
Tells the
mean.
whole story about your family.
Now, going to Henry Gilmore. All right, Henry Gilmore. Okay, born 1784, died 1862. His wife was Carolyn Tullock, T-U-L-L-O-C-K. She was born in Tennessee in 1804, died in Greene County, Illinois in April of 1884. She was almost 80 when she died. But I want to go from Henry Gilmore, the guy born in 1784, to his father, John or William Gilmore. He was born in North Carolina in 1749, fought in the Virginia militia during the American Revolution. Well, somehow or other, he ended...
For the South.
Pardon?
He fought for the South?
No, he fought during the American Revolution.
Oh, the American, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He was what? I'm trying to think. It was either John or William Gilmore. Born 1749, North Carolina. Somehow he ended up in Macoupin County, Illinois. He must have got a land grant. And at the age of 95 in 1844, he died. Then his son was Henry Gilmore. Then you go up to Amanda Elizabeth Gilmore, Enoch Carroll Redding, Charles Homer Redding, then on down. For that side of the family. Oh. Damn bugs. Trying to look back. All right, now I've gone over as much as I can on the side of Enoch Redding. I'm going to go back to Mary Elizabeth Rule Armstrong. Her father was Thomas H. Armstrong. He was born in 1838 and died in 1873 at the age of 35. What he died from, I don't know, but that's pretty young to die, especially by today's standards. His father was John Armstrong, born in England in 1794. Where exactly in England, I don't know. And like I said, he was the postmaster at Athensville, Illinois, for several years up until his death in 1859. I believe he founded the post office there at Athensville. Now, John Armstrong's wife was Elizabeth Gelder. Well, Elizabeth Gelder had a brother. What? Can I see those papers, Mom? Armstrong Gelder, born in 1813 in Snaith, North Yorkshire, England, died in Macoupin County, Illinois in 1878. She had a brother, I'm trying to look at his name, Thomas S. Gelder, Thomas Sherburne Gelder, and this is in the history of Macoupin County, Illinois. It states that Captain Thomas Sherburne Gelder has been one of the successful farmers of Macoupin County and a man of high personal character and standing. It says, early in life he was a Whig, W-H-I-G, and the first to vote after his naturalization was cast for Henry Clay for president. It said, to go on further here, it said that he had the honor of voting twice for Abraham Lincoln, with whom he was on terms of personal acquaintance, and with whom he served in the Black Hawk War of 1832.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes. Then they've got a picture here of Captain Gelder's farm. It's in Chesterfield Township, Macoupin County, Illinois.
Okay.
The town's name is Chesterfield, 62630 is the zip code. But that's it right there.
That's pretty. Wow.
And I found
Not pretty.
that information at the State Library of Archives in Lansing, the history of Macoupin County, Illinois. John Armstrong and Elizabeth Gelder were married in Macoupin County in November of 1836, on the 22nd. From what I know about Elizabeth Gelder, her parents were John Gelder and Elizabeth Sherburne. And her mother died in 1851. There was some plague that swept her. You know, they would have smallpox, dysentery, cholera. Oh, wasn't life just wonderful back then?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Pick your
close.
poison.
St. Louis.
Yeah, pick your poison or have your poison come and pick you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Between Springfield
ugh,
and St. Louis.
just,
Bad water.
oh yeah, bad water, yeah. Why do you think the Pilgrims drank beer, I guess?
They got
Because
that
the water
land
was so
It
bad.
was better than drinking the
I
bad
wonder how
water.
they figured that out.
Oh, she was born in Snaith, S-N-A-I-T-H, North Yorkshire, England. It's the nearest biggest city there is Goole, G-O-O-L-E. I've seen it on the map. It must be a real small place. Snaith, there it is.
This is all Grandpa Redding's side.
It'd be great-grandma Redding's side. This would be her grandmother's people,
Okay.
Elizabeth Gelder Armstrong. Now, I'm going to go down to her,
That's a Scotch name. I didn't
to
know.
our
I
great-grandma
thought
Redding's
there
mother,
was a Scotch-
Harriet Cordelia Morrow.
there was a
She was born in 1839 and died in
Festival
1912.
up in Alma. There's
And
a
she married
school at
Thomas
Alma
H.
College
Armstrong
with
December
Scotch,
22nd, 1859.
based.
Now, they had 6 children. I have already mentioned that.
There was a booth there and it had Armstrong. And I
She-
went over and talked to him. I said,
Okay, when
"Oh,
she
my grandmother's
was
Armstrong." And this guy said, "Oh, really?
12 years
What'd
old,
find
she
out?"
lost her parents in a plague. It was either
He
smallpox,
said that
cholera,
the
or dysentery.
Armstrong clan
From what a distant cousin
was
had
on the
told
border
me,
of England.
quoting from this distant cousin's father,
It was-
during the years, the
there
fall
was
and
one
the
clan on
winter
one
and
side
spring of
one
1852 and
and
1853,
the English,
plague had swept
or
through
the
Greene
Eng-
County.
They made so much trouble for
well,
the
Harriet's parents got it.
English that the English
In a 4-day period, her
took
father,
them out of
Abner
there
Morrow,
and
a
they
twin to
put
Jesse,
them in
died. 2-year-old girl died.
In England, and they put them all
Mary Ann Wood,
separated.
her own mother died, and a baby died, all in 4 days.
Take a break.
That was,
All right,
yeah, that's when I was,
Harriet
I got a
Cordelia
cold
Morrow
down there.
Armstrong.
Yeah.
Her parents died in April of
They used to
1853,
put
along with a
like, it was like a
newborn baby
slide,
brother and
they
a
put
2-year-old
the
sister.
coal
Her
right
mother was so weakened because she had that flu, her
And
milk
there's a
came out in
pipe
strings
that comes
because the
down,
flu
and I
had
noticed
burned her up.
they've got
And she couldn't
something
feed that
around
baby,
the
so she had to sit there and watch that baby just...
I've got to get up.
But the baby could barely cry.
Excuse me.
It was born
boy.
partially blue, I guess. Well, the mother had that fever, and she had that baby come out.
Yeah.
And it was just, I guess, they couldn't get it to cry or anything. It was just... And then it only lived a couple of hours.
Oh.
So Harriet, being orphaned along with her brothers and sisters in 1853, was raised by her grandmother, Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse. They talk about people raising their grandchildren today. Well, the same thing happened back then because people died. You know, there were all these diseases and stuff. Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse was the daughter of Mary Ann Wood and the grandmother of Harriet Cordelia Morrow Armstrong. Jane Mosey was born in Cawood, North Yorkshire, England, near Selby in 1790, died in Greene County, Illinois in 1860. Her first husband was William Wood, a sea captain. She had 4 children with William Wood. That's where our 3-greats-grandmother, Mary Ann Wood, comes from. Now, Mr. Wood was a sea captain, and he had died at sea in 1818. So she had to wait 7 years before she could marry Benjamin Roothouse.
Why?
Well, because in those days,
Oh.
you know, wait 7 years
Yeah.
because he was
He
gone.
might swim back.
And she had 5 children with Mr. Benjamin Roothouse, some in England, some in the United States. Well, in 1828, they left
Burners.
Cawood, North Yorkshire, England for Greene County, Illinois. And they came through the port of Boston, Massachusetts, went out to Greene County. Well, they had left, they came to an area called Roothouse, Illinois, which was founded after Benjamin Roothouse. Well, Benjamin Roothouse and his stepson, William Wood, went to Ohio to get some of their things out of storage. Come to find out, their stuff had been stolen and the storage place set on fire. Well, now this was during the winter of 1831. William Wood, stepson of Benjamin Roothouse, were coming back, and Benjamin caught pneumonia. Well, he had died along the way. So what his stepson did, William Wood, was wrap him up and put his dead body over his horse. You know, here's his body over a horse, and take him back. Well, finally they got to Greene County, and Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse asked her son, William Wood, "Where is Benjamin?" His son turned around and said, "Mom, he's dead." Well, Jane Roothouse was left in a new country with 9 kids, or 8 kids, and she was pregnant. Benjamin was 58 at the time he died. So they took his body, put it in the barn, and couldn't bury him until springtime. Can you imagine that, having a dead, but what could you do in 1831, you know? And it was just all open territory. Jane Mosey was also the daughter of Isaac Mosey, a sea captain, and I guess he was also buried at sea. But going back to Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse, the town of Roothouse, Illinois, was founded after them. There was, as a matter of fact here, I've got a letter from 1981, and I was 16 when I wrote it. Got a snippy response, but hell, I got my information just the same, you know? It said here that, okay, it said, Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse was therefore left again alone in strange land peopled with Indians, and 8 children, 1 on the way to raise. She did not falter. She built 2 kilns, spent a year or 2 gathering wood and burning it into charcoal. She then gathered clay and made bricks to build the home I show you. She highly educated her children. They wrote beautifully and were learned. And when each one of them was married, Jane gave him or her a farm for a wedding present.
That's nice.
I am sending to you the family tree as well as I can construct it without the actual names, which are in a vault. Just one thing more. Who in hell gave you my name and address? Yours truly, L. Weston Roothouse, Whitehall, Illinois, February 16, 1981.
Wow.
Filmway's presentation, everybody. Yes. But that place, as a matter of fact, the Roothouse estate, I'm trying where the... This is the house that Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse built. Take a look at it. That is on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States of America Department of Interior.
You
There's
go,
even a
girl.
Hey,
That's a wedding woman for you. Well,
and take a look on the inside. You should see what the inside of that. Open up that brochure. You wouldn't believe that. And take a snap picture of it.
the inside.
Yes, there's historical plaque, everything. Everything. And
I want to
was
go
only-
there.
I was only 16 when I found that out.
You
16.
think that hot tub was in there back in that day?
No.
With the toilets and the bidet?
I guess they did an extensive remodel in
The pool
1977.
table, too.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm going to show you here. This is a diary I've got, and it just it blows your mind away. Where the hell is it? Now, I'm going to show you here. This is a diary I've got, and it blows your mind away. Where the hell is it? The 12th Annual Greene County Days. This was published in 1996. And they have excerpts in here from the diary of Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse.
Cool.
And I believe all of her diaries have been deposited in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., or at the State of Illinois Archives at Springfield. But if you can imagine what I've got here. Oh, Jane. All right, got it. It goes on, there's a whole bunch of stuff here, for one thing. Harriet Cordelia Morrow Armstrong, her father was Abner Morrow, a twin to Jesse Morrow. He died at 40 in 1853, just like Mary Ann Wood did, age 40 in 1853, from that plague that swept through. Abner Morrow's father was William Morrow, born about 1774 and died in 1845. Where he came from, I don't know. His mother was Jane, born about 1775, died in 1846. I believe both William Morrow and Jane Morrow died in a plague of some kind. Now, I don't think they were born in England. I think they were born somewhere here in the United States. Could it be Pennsylvania? Could it be Maryland? Could it be one of the New England states? I don't know as of yet. Now, William Morrow, who died in 1845, his father was John Morrow, a Revolutionary War veteran, born in 1747 and died in 1823. A lot of these Revolutionary War veterans and these War of 1812 veterans, they couldn't get, the government had no money to pay them. So they were given land grants. It would be like, say, okay, Art Hoyt, you and Brenda fought here for the American Revolution or War of 1812. We don't have any money to pay you, but hey, we've got this territory opening up in Illinois. Claim as much as you want.
Wow.
And same thing. You and John, they'd say, okay, John and Kathy Chenoweth, you've got this much, we don't have any money to give you, but you could go claim this territory.
Excuse me.
And start your own farm. And that's how a lot of these settlers came through there. That part of Illinois is known as the Springfield Valley. It runs in a southwest direction from Springfield all the way down to St. Louis, Missouri. And that's where a lot of our people had settled. A lot of them. Trying to think.
Would that be the Illinois River Valley?
Yeah, right there, Illinois River, because...
Where it meets the Mississippi?
Yep. Greene County. Okay, here's Greene County. The Illinois River is its westernmost border, and then it runs right into the Mississippi. Yeah, that area. Because you go from Greene County, Illinois River, Calhoun County, Mississippi River, and then you're in Missouri. There was an account in here, in Jane Mosey Wood Roothouse's diary, about a slave girl by the name of Lottie. Yes. She mentions, I wonder if the family owned her or if they just knew her or what. But because Missouri was a slave state, Illinois wasn't.
Good. Bruce.
Trying to think here. Man.
Cut it off for a second.